to Brokenness Meets Grace. We are sorry for the 2 week hiatus. We've had a really, really busy couple of weeks. We were moving house and a lot going on, and it was just impractical for us to record these sessions while we were doing all of that. But thank God, all is done. We are relaxed and we are back in full mode. We've got a different setting today. We're recording from our home. And we're joined by an extra special guest today. This is our mom. Our mother is here to join us today because we're covering a very interesting and a very relatable topic. And it is Women's Mommies Month, right?
Yeah.
It's May, the month of May. And we are celebrating our mothers, and we thought it was a fantastic way to do that is to share this platform with our mom. Hi, Mommy.
Hi.
Hi, Mama.
Hi.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, my name is Antoinette, and I'm mother to these beautiful, phenomenal women. And yeah, and I've got 2 grandchildren and a beautiful sister. Yeah, I think that's all I can say about myself.
There's much more.
There is a lot more, but
There's much
yeah. She's choosing to be very shy today, so we'll give it to her. And I think where parenting is concerned, we need to learn to be parents who think for our children.
Yeah.
You know, what are we leaving behind? And I think that gets away from us in the world and in just the nature of living. We forget to ask that question,
Yes.
you know, what are we leaving behind for them? And I'm not talking material. I'm not talking, you know, the stuff that is here today, gone tomorrow. I'm
Yes.
talking about a value system that can never be taken away from them, you know. And when we ask ourselves questions like that, it's going to challenge us to parent differently.
Yes.
If the answer to that question is not a good one, you know. And I think in a lot of ways, we each had to ask ourselves that question. And for you, Shishi, I think you asked yourself that question spiritually. Because foundationally, my sister's the one that is at the foundation of teaching my children more about God, you know, more than I have, you know. She's the one that was used by God to lay that foundation for them, you know, to teach them about prayer, to teach them about the word. And that's the legacy that she's leaving for them, you know. My mother is an amazing grandmother. And interestingly enough, just like every grandparent does, she doesn't parent my children like she parented us, you know. She is, you know, the nurturer, the one that really gives them, she spoils them. She spoils them. Let's just say it like it is, right? Like all grandparents do. But it comes from the space that she didn't have that. You know, she doesn't know what it was like to be lavished with love. And that's what she's leaving for them. They know that they can come running to her at any time and they'll get a hug and they'll get a kiss and they'll get just so much love.
Hey, Granny.
I think I just need to add here, we need to understand roles where parenting is concerned. I'm talking about this that you brought it up right now. Elderly parents need to understand that their upbringing should not bear an impact on their children's upbringing. Meaning, if I was raised like this and you have children, I'm not going to have to impose my will of how I was brought up. I did not impose the will of how I was brought up on you. You know, you had to be brought up differently from how I was brought up. But I just want to add the fact that you are a mother. I can't come and mother your children because they are not mine to mother. They are yours. I mothered you. You know, I brought you up the best way God helped me to bring you up. Now, when you are bringing your children, we have to always never to cross the line, you know, because it will create a problem. Your children are yours. I'm a grandmother. That's exactly what I wanted to stress, to emphasize on. You talking about being a grandmother. I'm a grandmother. I'm not a mother. You know, yes, you're an aunt. You are delivering a role of an aunt. You know, in no way we both are taking your role where your children are concerned. You still play a motherly role to your children, even though you have support from me as your mother, their grandmother, and her as an aunt. So we've got to be very, very careful that motherhood does not necessarily mean any female that has produced children. You know, the role of a mother is the one who brought the children who incubated them. And they have to be, because it is God that gives you instructions on how to raise them, according to how He nurtured them in your womb as a mother. So we've got to be very careful that we don't overstep, our roles, because we end up giving rules or creating confusion where children are concerned.
Definitely. And I mean, in a household like ours, we have 3 strong women in here. Can you imagine if we weren't led by the Spirit to understand the different roles? We constantly be at loggerheads because one person wants to discipline the girls one way, another person wants to chip in and do it their way. But God has been so good in the sense that He's really guided us.
Absolutely.
And He's really helped us to be able to rear the girls in unity, but also, like Mom is saying, to understand the different roles.
And I just also want to add, I think I speak not just for the aunts, but I speak for women who can't have children, who can't have them from a natural place, biologically. They may be barren, they may have, whatever disorder, and, sadly, they can't produce children like a woman should. That I mentioned earlier that they don't have to come from your womb for you to be a mother. God created every single woman with the ability, with the instinct, with the nurturing ability, with the loving ability to raise a child, to be a mother. So I'm speaking to those who, think that there's only one dimensional way of being a mom. There's many faceted ways, and if God gives you the responsibility, whether it's in adopting, whether it's in raising a relative's child or whatever the case may be, when that instinct is kicked in, that is the Holy Spirit activating you to be present and to be a role model for that human being, and
Definitely.
don't take it lightly.
Absolutely. Definitely. And I mean, it's Mother's Month, and for us it's such an important topic to have. I mean, you're sitting here with 3 generations of different mothers, a single mom, an aunt who's a mom, without biological children, but she's parenting, and a mother who co-parents, and it's different variations of parenting, but God has been so gracious to bring them out together, and that's what the segment is about, to celebrate the different forms of moms that are out there in the world, but how the one thread that really puts it all together is the grace of God. And you cannot parent in any form, whether you are married,
absolutely not,
and parenting with your husband, whether you are co-parenting like I am with someone who isn't your husband, or whether you're raising them singly, or whether they're not yours biologically. Parenting is a gift from above, and the skill to be a great parent only comes from God. And you cannot parent without the guidance of the Lord. Okay, so a fun question. We have like characters in this house. Our children are real divas. They're very big characters, and I'd like to know from each of you, what have you learned? What have your children taught you? I'll start with you, Mom. What have me and Shishi taught you about yourself in raising us?
Such a beautiful question, and I'm going to give you such a beautiful answer. I just want to stress how important it is for children to be able to correct their parents. If there's one quality that I will always cherish that my children has created in me is to be able to correct me and say, Mom, this is not the way it's done. So they've always been my mirror. I'm got a strong personality. I'm an extrovert, and with my background, I have developed this thick skin. You heard Harmony talk about I had to be strong because it was a survival of the fittest mode. And you will often, if you have a personality or a character like that, you will get carried away and think you are indispensable, and you will be so proud and think that everything that you do is right. But I pride myself in knowing that through this strong woman, behind the strong woman, if I may say, comes these 2 daughters of mine that always used to guide me. And I thank God for having given me the spirit of not being proud to say, I don't hear from children. Children can't tell me anything. So that has been the most powerful tool that God has blessed me where you are concerned, in able to sit down with me and say, Mama, rather let's do things this way, not that way. So I'm emphasizing on it because I know that in our culture or in our age, we have parents who say that the children won't tell parents anything. And that's where things go wrong, because this enabling your children to be able to correct you sometimes, and of course I'm not talking in a bad approach. You know, there's got to always be a line that children will not cross, and mine never crossed that line, because I always enabled them to speak their mind, and I never imposed on them, and they had opinions, you know. But what I cherished the most is that you were my mirrors. You know, when I went on living thinking that I've got things all together, even in the way I related to people, God used you in so many ways to be able to make me see that I can err as a human being, because I'm never perfect. We're never perfect. Yeah, that's the one most beautiful thing that I cherish, that I got from you.
Yeah, no, we can vouch to that. It's not a lie. I think a lot of people see my mother and think she is this ultra strong, you know, her personality is very bold, very strong. But I must say that God has developed a relationship in us that, like what you're saying, you know, we've been able to say to her, no, you know, don't do things that way. And she would never repel us, you know, like she'd never put down an iron fist and say, you know, no, I'm the mother, what I say goes. Of course, there have been moments like that. She is the mother. But I think ultimately the door has always been open, you know, and that's how she raised us. My door's always open, come and talk, you know. So yeah, definitely. And for you, Shishi, what have your children taught you about yourself?
Sure, so much. Eh? I'll speak on Naledi first. Naledi is our youngest. She is what, 6?
She's 7.
She's turning 7 in September.
Yeah. 7 in September.
Yeah.
And we like to make jokes, but it's actually very uncanny just how similar we are, me and her. But I look at her and I envy, if I can call it that, her self-assurance. You know, I've never seen, even for her age, a child so self-assured, so confident, you know, so like unapologetic. You know, if I can put it in a way, she is so unapologetic in her thinking and in her mannerisms. She's so independent, even, you know. And I look at her and I envy that, because I used to be like that when I was a child and when I was young, and life came and, you know, brokenness attached itself to me, and I became the complete opposite, you know, of that character. And I envy that carefreeness, you know. And now I used to be, anyway, it's not who I am now, but I used to be such an uptight individual and so conscious of people and life, you know. And I took it in very personally, because my responses to life came from a mental place, and that's why I envy people, or I not envy but admire. That's the word. I admire people who don't take life so seriously, you know, who just go with it. So yeah, I look at her and she really just, I admire that trait, and I pray every day that she doesn't lose it, you know, because life is life. It does happen to all of us, but I really pray that's one trait she keeps. And Nala is her compassion. I admire her compassion. I don't think I've seen anybody as compassionate as a child. She's got a massive heart, you know, and so considerate. It's not even coached, you know. She just does things that is always in the interest of other people, you know, and selflessly as well, without expecting anything in return, and without even doing it for, you know, a big
intensive,
nothing. You know, so her compassion is really such a beautiful thing to witness from a child as well. You know, children are meant to be so bratty,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
The compassion shouldn't register in their
Yes.
brain at
Yeah.
that point because they're kids, right?
Yeah.
They want what they want and
Yeah.
they get what they get.
Yeah.
You know, but for her to at this age be able to be so selfless,
Yeah.
you know, even with the things that are hers, she can so easily just give it to somebody else, you know, without expecting anything in return. And that is a very admirable trait for a 11-year-old.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's beautiful. Sure, yeah, and all true. You know, I think what they taught you ties into a little bit about what they've taught me. They've taught me so much. My goodness, I'm not the same. You know, I'm completely different, and that's what happens when you have kids.
Yeah.
disclaimer.
Yeah, just so that you know, your life literally, I've heard it said, it goes upside down, and it literally does that because you no longer live for yourself.
Absolutely.
Well, anyways, that's if you're doing it the right way, you know, because it's supposed to be about them, you know. And I love that I you know, analogy, because I think about Christ,
Mm-hmm.
and I think about how he came to die for us. You know,
Yes.
the sacrifice that he made it from the point of view of a father. You know, a father who wanted to fix the mess that his children made, but he loved them so much that it wasn't about him. You know, it wasn't about his comfort. It wasn't about his happiness. It was about doing something that would free his children, to make his children happy. And that's what parenting should be about, you know. Of course, you know, we parent them until they don't need us to parent them anymore. But until that day comes, our lives are literally about ensuring that they are taken care of and their well-being is paramount. And if we learn to parent from that point of view, there's very little that we won't do for them, even if it's at our detriment, you know. And that's what they've taught me about myself, is that through them I have the ability to be so much more than ever I thought I ever could be. You know, through being a mom to them, I've learned how resilient I am. I've learned how loving I am. I've learned a new understanding of love through my children, you know, that love is unconditional. And they've taught me that. I watch how they love us.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
They have a remarkable way of showing love. You know, it doesn't matter how you hurt them. It doesn't matter, you know, what offense you give them. Their response is just to love, you know. Whether they get shouted at or yelled at or grounded or punished, they still come back with love, you know. And that's the one takeaway from them that I really, really admire, and I wish I could be more like them, is that their ability to just love genuinely from a pure place, from a place that just doesn't end. Like they have an unlimited supply of love. And so that's one characteristic of theirs that I admire, and I pray that every day that I'm alive and every day that I'm raising them, I can show them the kind of love that they have taught me to show, you know. And that's the love of Christ. That's ultimately what it is.
Absolutely.
You know, and children do it so effortlessly because it's not jaded.
Yes.
You know, it's not polluted by the stuff of adulting.
Yeah.
You know, but that's definitely what I've learned.
I think another trait children teach everyone, every parent, is discipline.
Yeah.
You know, you are literally charged with another human being, and they kind of reinforce that daily.
Absolutely.
You know, they teach you discipline. They teach you to discipline them. Routine, structure. You know, as a single 22-year-old, you don't know what discipline and structure.
And that's very important, because that helps you to be always on your guard. Because they teach you the principle of practice what you preach.
Exactly.
You know, they hold you accountable. You know, and if you know that God is watching you when you parent, that you don't distort or destroy them, you will maintain that principle of practicing what you preach. They hold you accountable, and it's a very good thing, because it perfects you as a parent. It helps you.
Absolutely. And I think it's very, very important. I love what you said there about practicing what you preach, because they will tell you.
Yes.
And they remember
everything. And they'll tell you what you said, you know. So practicing what you preach is really, really important. A final question, well, not final question, second last question for you guys. I'll start with you, Mommy, is you know, how did God use your experience with a broken home and coming from a broken home to make you a better parent?
Okay, the practice what you preach, principle, the most important thing, because yes, brokenness happened, broken homes happened, broken parents happened. I'm talking about me. Broken marriage. God helped me hold my children together. You know, making sure that I'm using the skills or the wisdom that the Spirit gives me. And that is through prayer. Hey? That is through prayer. I mean, you know that you individually went through your own challenges. You went through your own, but the wisdom that God gave me was to pray incessantly without ceasing, you know, so that my children can be delivered, you know, and we take that and we bring it out there to their children, like my grandchildren, that is. And it's something that is a foundation for them, that it will be carried through from generation to generation. You know, the source of everything is God. This is what I taught you. You know, we're not a perfect family. We are not perfect human beings. But if you live life out of this whole principle that God is the source, you will not manage. You know, nothing will ever come right. You know, and to try and live well with other human beings, you know, that of love, showing love, and that's the most important.
Yeah, definitely. It's beautiful. And you, Shishi, what is your history with brokenness and coming from a broken home? How has that made you a better parent?
Sure. I honestly think God brought Nala and Naledi specifically for me. And I see it that way personally anyway, because they made me a better human being. You know, I literally was non-functional in so many ways. I couldn't be a mother, I couldn't be a wife, I couldn't be you know, a businesswoman, I couldn't be faithful if he didn't bring them in my life, or in our life rather, and slowly cut and chisel, you know, my character and my heart, even, you know, my affection, my compassion, my responsibilities, my discipline. You know, he cultivated my character through them, you know, and it's only in hindsight that I see it now for what it was. But I wasn't going to be a functional person if they weren't brought to kind of shove me out of my victim mentality, you know, self-destructive mindset. And yeah, they literally changed my life. They really, really did. And in a lot of ways, I could say I owe it to them, because I see life so differently now. You know, I wake up every morning and my first thought is to clean the house, because I know there are children in the house and it needs to be tidy, right? Because they made a mess. But it's not from a place of they irritate me because they made a mess, but it's because they're children and they made a mess. And I need to wake up and I need to be responsible because they're children in the house, you know. And like, yeah, my whole character shifted the minute that I became an aunt, you know. And I see it now more than ever for what it was.
Sure, that's amazing.
Absolutely,
that is amazing. And I think in a lot of ways it sort of made you grow up.
Yes.
You know, like it took you out of the mindset of being a child, you know, or being comfortable in your immaturity and
complacent.
They made you sort of like they do all parents. And they made you snap out of your childishness. You know, there are other people you must be responsible for, and I think that's what they did.
Yeah.
I think for me, definitely my brokenness, such a beautiful, watching my children and watching the place that I'm at now, being their mother, I can look back and I can say thank you, Jesus, for the brokenness. You know, I don't think I would be the type of mother that I am today had I not been broken, had I not come from a broken home, had I not been raised by a single parent, had I not been a product of a broken home myself through my divorce. You know, divorce is a terrible thing. It's not a nice thing for children to have to go through. It's not a nice thing for grown-ups to have to go through. And it certainly isn't something that I advocate, you know, at all. It's terrible to make children be subjected to a broken home, and of course nobody does it deliberately. But what that brokenness did for me is it really made me a better mother.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people ask, you know, would you have done anything differently? You know, if you could turn back time, would you have changed anything? And I can say with the greatest conviction that no, you know, because truth be told, in my heart of hearts, I truly, truly do not think that I would have been the person that I am today. I would have been the type of mother that I am today. And they would have been the type of children that they were today, if things were different.
Yes.
Everything that happened was par for the course.
Yes.
Everything that happened was part of the process.
Yeah.
And from it, because of God, something even more beautiful developed.
Yes.
You know, something more beautiful than I could have ever imagined developed from it. You know, I became an even better parent out of it. Their father is, I think, an even better father because of it, dedicated and devoted to his children. You know, we parent them from that perspective because of all of the brokenness that happened in the past. So definitely I can say with the greatest confidence that my brokenness, God did use it. You know, my broken childhood, my broken marriage, you know, he used all of that to fashion and mold this character that I have.
You are now.
Imperfect?
Yeah.
Not perfect. Far from it. I mess up every day where these kids are concerned. But so much better than I think I could have ever been.
Yeah.
So much better. And so much healthier for them also. So
and real.
And
you know,
definitely. And that can only be God. That can only be God. So yeah, definitely that. And then finally, what message would you like to give to the moms this Mother's Day? And I'd like you to give a message based on the kind of mother that you are. So, Shishi, for you, speak to the mothers who are not biological mothers. You know, mothers, sisters, you know, raising siblings, raising nieces, you know, speak to those moms. Mommy, speak to the mothers who are single parents, who have been single parents all their lives and who've had to watch their children grow with no support and no structure. Speak to those women today and give them a happy Mother's Day message and one thing that they can take away from your experience.
So I'd just like to wish all the non-biological moms a happy Mother's Day, happy Mother's Month, you know, and my takeaway really from my role in this whole situation here is that your role matters, you know, your space matters. You are not illegitimate because you don't have a biological child. You know, it doesn't matter, even if you are a sister or an aunt or a grandmother or daughter, whatever, you know, adoptive mother, your role matters because every role is important in every household. You know, you are vital in that space that you occupy, you know, and I've seen it in this household as well. And I mean, our nieces are so blessed to have different mothers from different backgrounds with different experiences, but each role is vital. You know, carry it. You know, it carries weight, so own it and carry it, and don't think that it's not important and don't think that it's not valid. You know, if God created you to occupy that space and that title, it means he's equipped you to be able to do it. And there's a need for you and there's a need for your role in whatever household you're in, you know. So carry it with grace and own it. And like I said, know that it is a vital role. Even if there is a mother in that household, every woman has a specific role that they were created for, you know, and it works. It's needed, it works, it's necessary. Okay. So
definitely. It takes a village to raise a child.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And happy Mother's Day, mothers out there. Mine is a very, very serious message that I want to send out to you. Parenting is never easy. It is the most difficult thing. And it is, it really is not as simple as it looks, you know. And as I said earlier, you need God to always guide you in parenting. But what I want to advise parents on is create a very good relationship with your children. If you're a father, learn to have a good relationship with your children. If you're a mother, and do likewise. But equally, children also need to have a good relationship with their children. There's got to be communication. We always look at things from relational issues in terms of marriage or being at work. Every relationship is important, but the most important one is a relationship between parents and children. If you don't understand your children, learn to understand them so that they can learn to understand you. Because there is nothing as creating anxiety in life if you are not in a good place with your children. Life is short. There are parents who lose their children and they only discover when it is too late. It doesn't matter how delinquent you might think your child is. Make efforts to try and fix relationships. If you don't understand each other, find somebody that can step in and be a neutral person to help you fix things, or perhaps maybe meet each other halfway, compromise, but don't let things and say, my child, I've given up on my child, because whether you're saying it that you've given up, you're not going to be happy at the end of the day. You won't be able to sleep. Do whatever it takes to make sure that your relationship with your children is in a very, of course, not perfect. It will never be perfect, but because we're different personalities, different characters, but try and make means and efforts to make sure that even with the differences that you guys might have, try and settle them. Meet each other halfway. Happy Mother's Day, parents.
Yeah, definitely. And I think my message is a similar one. And I would like to talk to those of us who are divorced or separated. Let's not use our children to fight our wars and our battles. As parents, and this is a message, of course, to mothers and fathers, I think a lot of people struggle with the transition of separation, and it's a difficult one, but the people that pay the highest cost are the children, let it always be about them, a mother should not use her children to fight, her ex or fight, her partner or whatever. We should not be using our children as collateral. We should not be using them as weapons, In most cases, what happens is because we are mothers, our children stay with us, we nurture them. And so we often put up these walls, and make it difficult for their fathers to either have access to them or to build good relationships with them because we're bitter and we're angry and we're trying to punish. It happens. It's a natural thing. I mean, I went through it, something similar myself. But it's not a good way to interact, and it certainly is not a good way to raise children. So as women who are struggling with pain, who are struggling with bitterness, who are struggling with rejection, let us not fall into the cycle of using our children against their fathers. But also a message to the fathers who have also experienced that rejection from marriage or a broken relationship. Do not walk away from your children and don't use the excuse of, their mother doesn't let me have access to them. Fight to build a relationship with your child. Fight to be there for your child, regardless of what the circumstance is between you and their mother. Ultimately, it's about the children. Ultimately, you should be able to say that you have done everything possible to develop that relationship, to develop so that your child knows when they put their head at night down on their pillow that they are loved by their parents and that there isn't a thing that their parents won't do for them. But let us no longer use our children as collateral or as weapons against each other. The children suffer. And we cannot perpetuate a cycle that continues to let children be raised in that way. We have to be better for them so that they can grow up and be better parents than we were. But it starts with accountability, and it starts with being able to say that I want to be a parent. I want to be involved. I want to be active. And I don't want to be the reason that my child doesn't have access to their father, and vice versa. I don't want to be the reason that my child doesn't have a father because I just walked away. So my message to all parents, not just the moms, is that think about the children. It's not about you, it's about them. And do everything in your power to develop a healthy, functional child. The society is filled with so many broken people. And at the core of that is how they are raised. If we can do our part to make sure that we raise good, functional adults as children, then we've done a really, really great job for society. And it all starts with being able to do that with the guidance of God.
Absolutely. And ultimately, it will have to be God that says to you, well done, you good and faithful parent, for having brought the children to him.
Exactly.
Because the role of a parent is to incubate the seed. And when the child is mature, at your help as parents, you are now handing them over to God. Then when you hand this child over to God, is it going to be a child that is blemished at your behest or not?
Yeah. Okay. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
We'll catch you next week, you guys. Thanks for tuning in to Brokenness Meets Grace. We'll have a great one, and remember,
may be broken, but it is in the hands of the potter.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.